We were at my great-grandmother's 90th birthday party a few years back. My dad was sitting opposite me. He had his phone out and said he wanted to show me something, so he opened his browser. But he'd carelessly forgotten to close the tab that had porn on it the last time he had that browser open. So, my great-grandmother, being right next to my dad, obviously saw what was on his phone. He scrambled to turn it off, but must have been all thumbs because he ended up cranking it full volume instead to a table of 12 people. My great-grandmother's hearing at the time wasn't very good, so thankfully she didn't hear it. But for the 5 seconds that the clip was playing, I nearly pissed myself from laughter and ended up spilling my drink all over the table. Dad didn't hang around for very long after dinner. He crammed dessert down and booked it right out of there. I was at an outdoor mall with some friends of mine. We saw 2 heavier set kids playing in one of those timed water jet fountain things. I don't really know how else to describe them. Anyhow, we watched as one kid ran to one end and the other kid to the opposite end. They then ran full speed through the jets and smacked into each other, producing a wet, fat, slapping sound I won't ever forget. My friends and I were young high schoolers at the time, so I'm sure we sounded like a pack of hyenas laughing. But honestly, if it had happened today, I'd probably still giggle like a schoolgirl at the event. I was wandering to work one day, minding my own business. It's normally a fairly busy road, but the way the traffic lights run, there are occasionally times when the road is completely clear. For those of you who know London, this was walking up Gray's Inn Road from St. Pancras. As I'm walking along the pavement, there's this bloke in a wheelchair with crutches laid across his lap. But I didn't really pay him much attention. That is, until he pushed himself into the road, picked up those crutches, and started using them to propel himself along. Like a skier. He was quite literally skiing along a paved road, in a wheelchair. There were like 5 people stood around staring, not quite believing what they were witnessing. That memory has always stuck out in my mind. I know you're not supposed to laugh at people in wheelchairs, but good Lord, is it sure funny to think about. I never did find out exactly what he was doing. I was at camp as a 10-year-old kid one summer, and this tedious counselor was telling a story. Everyone thought this particular counselor was really boring. But for once, he had our attention. We stood in a circle in some random woods, watching as his tale-telling became more animated due to our attention. At a climactic moment of his story, he pointed skyward and inclined his head, saying, "And I looked up." At that exact moment, a bird flew over and shat on his forehead. We all thought we would stop breathing from laughing so hard. I was driving once in Buffalo, New York during a total freaking whiteout. One thing they say is to never stop in a whiteout, because a tractor trailer is likely to come up and rear-end you to hell. So, I come upon a car in front of me and decide to just start riding his ass because I could only see his brake lights when I was mere inches from his bumper. Then, his brake lights started flickering like a strobe light, followed by his car coming to a complete stop. I didn't know what to do, so I stopped my car also and hopped out to see what was up. Out of the other car hops this huge guy with eyes as wide as dinner plates. He turns towards me, stares for a second, then yells, "Yo man, I can't see shit." I laughed my ass off and decided to take the lead for a while. One year, right before Christmas, we had a snowstorm come rolling through, blanketing everything in beautiful powder. I was in the kitchen baking some Christmas cookies when my mom came in from shoveling snow. She excitedly said, "Look at my shoes," then stomped a couple times. At that exact moment, my brother's phone on a nearby table received a text message, and he had his ringtone set to a bicycle horn sound. So, it sounded like my mom had clown shoes. Such a dumb little event. But it had us all cracking up for longer than it should have. I went to the mall when I was about 15 or so with my parents. They dropped my older brother and I off at the arcade while they went shopping. My brother and I noticed some kids pulling the old dollar on a string prank, successfully fooling quite a few people, then rubbing it in their faces as well. They only got more arrogant too, even going so far as replacing the $1 bill with a $10 bill. So, my brother walks up, pretends he doesn't see the money, and steps on it. The kids try pulling it away, but the string breaks and my brother struts away with their $10 bill. These kids were crying to get their money back, but my brother, being the G that he is, told them to piss off and went off to spend their money. I was having lunch at a local pizzeria with some coworkers once, and sitting at the table next to us was a little girl, her mother, and her grandmother. The little girl was apparently learning that her mommy and daddy have real names. So, Grandma asked the girl, "What does mommy call daddy?" The girl didn't quite understand the question. So, Grandma then asked the girl, "What does daddy call mommy?" To which the girl's little face just lit up like a light bulb. She knew what daddy calls mommy, and in a nice clear voice told everyone that daddy calls mommy asshole.